Hey guys, Dr. Ben here. Welcome to a Power Pack Brokerpreneur Byte. Get ready to dive into proven strategies for recruiting top talent, retaining your best agents, and skyrocketing sales in the next 10 minutes. I'm your host, of course, Dr. Ben Spears, along with our real estate guru, Matt Byte. Join us as we unravel the secrets to take your brokerage to new heights. Let's dive in.
So, Dr. Ben Spears, how are you?
Doing so good. I'm so excited to launch the very first
episode. First one ever.
Episode number one, the OG.
That's right.
I wish we could do it under some different circumstances.
I know.
I'm here in my house. You're hanging out at the office, and gosh, we're just like quarantined. But I want to get in a studio. I want to do this the right way, obviously. But it's just a time where there's a lot of people out.
Right. Yeah, completely agree. It's there's so much going on right now for there not supposed to be anything going on, right? That's exactly one of the. Right. Between watching the news and the people that you're talking to in real estate's still busy at this point, right? So we're early on in all of this. Real estate is still moving along.
Why don't we go into like some quick bios? About who we are, how we got into this, and go from there. So you go first.
Yeah. So
tell them a little bit about you.
Coming up in 25 years in real estate, have been a top producing agent, have run the top company in a franchise group. We're a top 20 company in the U.S. So I've done a tremendous amount of recruiting. The cool thing about recruiting and the ugly thing about recruiting. So people inside the brand, and if you got a good friend, you'll talk to them about recruiting. But it wasn't like there was just a real open conversation about it. And I want to have an open conversation. And the reason why is because I want the right agents in the right office. Whatever that model is, whatever that brand is, I want them to be in the right office for them, using the right products and the right tools, delivering at a high level. So that's part of my history too, right? Is I've interviewed tons of agents. I've thousands of interviews and have hired thousands of people, probably 1,000 people, 1,100 people, something like that, easily in my career. And I've got probably a 1/3 ratio, maybe even a 25% ratio on my hires. I'm really picky about the hires. I just want certain people to be part of my team. So when you and I were talking about this, because you've got a completely different background, which I absolutely love, right? Which I don't have that background. So when you and I first started talking about recruiting, man, all of the conversations were just so exciting. And when we talked about it, it was just energizing and engaging. And so, I've done all this, the back end stuff that a broker does, run productive offices, done a lot of recruiting, done a lot of coaching, training. I do a really good job with my per person productivity, getting people to where they need to be. All of it starts just like with real estate. All of real estate starts with a ready, willing, and able seller. I honestly believe that all of agents being productive in an office starts with recruiting the right way. And so when you started talking about how to attract those right people, man, I was just like, dude, we got to put something together. We got to help some folks out there, not just the brokers doing a better job recruiting, but the agents, putting them in front of who might be the right broker for them, not just based on the little bit that they know about them. This is a chance for them to really connect with who would be a good fit for them. So what about it? So what about you? Tell everybody about your background, man.
Yeah, and just expanding on that a little bit. One of the biggest things that we preach, when it comes to recruiting and talking with agents is all isolation versus collaboration.
100%.
We've done events specifically themed on that one topic.
Yep.
And you're exactly right. As important as it is, and as much as this podcast is going to be focused around, how do we help brokerages, how do we help offices, get the right people and the right quality appointments into their offices. It's just as much, having a collaborative spirit.
Absolutely.
and making sure that like I'm doing this because I want this person to win, and that person's here because they want the office to win, and so on and so forth. Right. It stacks, it compounds one thing on top of the other. A little bit about my background. Grew up in Kentucky, beautiful wife, 2 little boys that I absolutely just love. And I was a chiropractor for 8 years in Kentucky.
Right.
My wife got her dream job down here, and we moved to Tampa, Florida. That's where I met Matt. Right. And ultimately, I got into real estate kind of by accident. It kind of took off, and I used things.
I'd say so. $8 million in your first year, right?
Yeah, did $8 million in the first year, and and that eventually branched off into, I was co-owner of a digital marketing company that I started with,
Right. And that's where I first met you. That's where I first got connected with you.
and and then things just kept going and stacking, and eventually we were able to help offices grow. We were able to help agents really have a presence online, let people get to know who they are, a little bit about their brand, and ultimately the same way that we can help brokerages match up with the right agent.
Right.
We were doing the same thing, helping buyers and sellers match up with the right agents, and so on and so forth. So
and those
I'm just crazy.
Yep. And those were some of the original conversations that you and I had. That, I mean, I know you were a good agent, right? Because it wasn't like your average sales price was $1.4 million in your first year. So you were out there working, you were hustling, you were converting leads.
$330,000. That was my average.
Right. So that's killer to have an $8 million year, not having any sphere of influence. And you were kind of in an independent situation with who you were dealing with without brokerages, right? So, I mean, there was a lot of things that were, there was a lot of things that I would say, some other people use it as an excuse to not succeed, and you push right through it, man. I love that. And then you got into the digital marketing side of it. I was like, holy shit, this guy has got it going on. So.
Yeah. And it's just beautiful how all of this works together. Oh, yeah. There's some traditional things.
Yep. And then there's some other things that are not as traditional. There's some other things.
And we're definitely going to be talking about that.
Right. Yep. Completely agree.
Yeah, just things that no one's ever heard of that two brains were able to come together and put into
and create a path.
Podcast.
Yeah. And create a path. Exactly. Right. And we're not going to be taboo about it, right? We're just going to talk about it. We're going to throw it out there. Hopefully people grab onto it. If they don't grab onto it, rock on. If they grab onto it, one day I'll have to explain what I mean by rock on, right? If they don't, if they don't grab onto it, rock on. If they grab onto it, then wonderful. We hope it helps agents, brokers, everybody. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I'm here to translate any old sayings like rock on,
right.
groovy, to any of our listeners that may.
That's right. Yeah, because there's a little bit of age difference between Dr. Ben and I. There's not a whole lot, but a little bit.
At least 2 years. At least 2
years.
At least
2 years. Right. At least the teenager.
So the big topic, right? We can't avoid it. We know why you are. We know why we're social distancing from each other.
Right, that's right. Instead of sitting next to each other. That's right. Yeah, we got the coronavirus, man. Got that coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
That's right.
And it just seems like it's shutting everything in the world down. Yep. Sports are out the window, which crushes me. I feel like I can't even, go to the grocery store without, spraying myself down and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so you look at it as, okay, well, what are agents doing? What are brokerages doing? What does the real estate market look like? And of course, like we've already said, our big topic is always recruiting.
Right.
What does it look like if an agent is stuck in their home?
Yep.
And you're a broker, you're a brokerage owner, 100%. And the lifeblood is recruiting.
Yeah. So let's start at this. And we love talking about recruiting. That's the other thing. I got to throw that out there. Right. Okay. So I don't think that there's any company owner right now that is telling their agents, oh, just stop doing what you're doing. Just go sit at home. Don't help your customers. Don't help your clients. Don't service your sellers. There's nobody that's saying that, right? Leads are still coming in. People are still moving, all that kind of stuff. So if that's the case, the broker has to be continuing to do their job. And part of their job is recruiting, right?
Yeah.
And so this isn't the time to be a vulture, right? That's absolutely in no way, shape, or form what we're saying. We're always going to come from a very authentic place with everything that we talk about, because we think that's the key to people being in the right home when it comes to real estate is authenticity.
Yeah, it's the golden rule.
Absolutely. So, so the broker knows that the agent should still be out there taking care of business. Then the broker should be still taking care of business. And so I'm gonna throw some kudos out to you and to some of the other people that dragged me into the new century with social media and with video. So you guys were really good about saying, Matt, man, you gotta get on Facebook. You gotta get some videos going. You gotta get some Facebook lives going. You need to be more connected. And there has to be more content on LinkedIn, and you just gotta get out in front of people more.
Yep.
The people that didn't do that a year ago, the old saying goes, if the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, right? And then the next best time is today. So if you're not doing social media, if you're not doing video, Now is when you should be leaping into that arena. Now is when you should be doing a tremendous amount of that, especially with your recruiting. So you should be connected with people in a whole different level. You should be doing social media in a whole different level, all of that. This is your chance. If you were waiting for a reason, if you knew that you were supposed to be doing this and you weren't doing it, you now have the perfect reason, Mr. Manager, Mr. Broker Owner, the perfect reason to get off your ass and start doing those things. And then you just keep that momentum after things shift to whatever the new normal will be. This is your chance to be able to do that, right? And it was you guys that got me moving on all that. And I thank God that y'all did. I can't imagine where I would be right now. I would be dead in the water if you guys wouldn't have said, Matt, you need to take a real serious look at video. You need to take a look at podcasts. You need to take a real serious look at what you're doing digital marketing and social media wise. So I appreciate you guys doing that. So number one is, if you're not doing those things as a broker, get off your ass, get out there. Now is your time to go do it, right?
Yeah.